Hello pottery friends, welcome to the Twisted Tree Frog Studio. I'm Sandra and today we're going to be doing a kiln opening. I have a glaze fire that is finished in the Scud 1027 and the Scud 818 is filled with bisque and ready to go. 6 days away from the first market of the season, so time is ticking. It is a glazing extravaganza going on in the other part of the studio, so we will have back-to-back kiln openings here for the next little while. So let's open this kiln up and see what we have. We're sitting at about 90 degrees, so I should be able to pick it all up with my hand. So let's see what there is. First look is really good. This is something, it was more of an experiment, and I found out exactly what I thought. If you do not take all of the paper off when you do underglaze transfers, you get a lot of, it's not pinholing, but it's bubbling and crawling. I don't know if you can see that there. So this definitely was an experimental piece, but sometimes it is good to know what is going to go on, because if you don't need to be extra careful, it's all good. This is a shallot by Spectrum. Nice little Mother's Day trinket dishes. I'd like to give a big shout out to Spectrum for sending the 12-pack of new glazes for this year some time ago. I'm just getting around to testing all the colors now. So thank you very much, Spectrum. They're beautiful. And then we have this tray, which is a silk screen that I did myself. We have slip underneath, and then the underglaze was silk screened onto the plate directly. Let's see if I can get this focused better. There you go. So I will be doing more videos on that process and how to do your own underglaze transfers in the upcoming near future. Just going to back you off just a little bit here. This was a refire. It had crazed where I put some of the Mako Jungle Gems. So I put some Spectrum Louisiana Bayou on it, and it's nice how the blue and black come through on the top part of the mug, matching with the bottom part. So that's a win when we save something. This was a refire for a garlic keeper. Unfortunately, it didn't pinhole in the first fire, but I did get some pinholes this time. So I will be putting a little more glaze on that and refiring in the next batch. These two bowls, I wish, again, I forgot to put flux on the rim. I wanted it to run a little bit more. So these are just little mixing bowls. I did a coat of Mako leather followed by 2 coats of Mako Muddy Waters. I probably should have done 3, and I certainly should have done the light flux on the rim. So it's just a little set of 2 bowls. So they're not nesting bowls, they stack together. Great little gifts, not too expensive for Mother's Day. I will just be putting my kiln shelves on the ground or on the floor here because this is going to get loaded up again today and fired tomorrow, probably. Again, we've got shallot on a little trinket dish. Shows the texture very nicely. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section and I will make sure I answer those. Now I'm going to be taking a wire brush to my kiln shelves. I'm getting a lot of flaking on my kiln wash, as well as I'm getting a lot of cracking when I bisque large pieces. So it's obviously hanging up on things. This is a little butter keeper. Again, silk screened on, I did my own silk screen underglaze transfers onto paper and then put them on the little butter keeper. Love that. Love the aqua color, nice and springy. This is an iron red. I believe it's Bailey's 2, which is an iron red. So I did a drop and soak cone 6 spiring for this to bring out the copper colors. So pleased with that. This is Raven Scrag Studio White that I did, and there's just a slight overlap where you get the brown, and then of course you get the red tones on the Bailey's red. That is in, I believe, the Mid-Fire Glazes book. I will try to remember to take a look and see. So far, no disasters. Oh, a little bit of a disaster. I spoke too soon. Okay, we have a little bit of crawling, and I'm not surprised because when I did the Raven Scrag in there, it was starting to crack. So obviously I had it a little bit too thick. So I will throw a little more glaze on that and refire it. No cracking. This is Floating Turquoise by Spectrum. Nice little serving dish, baking dish, and I put some Spectrum Pearl White on the rim. So unfortunately that is a refire. That will go on this kiln. These were just bits left over from when I was doing underglaze transfers on different pieces. So I never toss them. I always try to use them up. So I made these little trinket dishes with several patterns transferred on there, and then hard to see, there's a white lily on there, a whole one. Another shallot trinket dish. Oh, interesting. This is, I believe, this is copper float on the inside, and unfortunately bits fell in from the shelf above. But very nice copper finish on the inside. That will have to get refired. And just black engobe on the outside. So I have sand in the kiln for letting things not crack. But what I find interesting is, look at those two patches of real copper. Real shiny copper. That is amazing. So, unfortunately, refire. This one didn't get the bits on. Beautiful copper finish in there. Absolutely amazing. However, the engobe is flaking off. Oh boy. What a shame. So, beautiful bowl on the inside, but some issues with the engobe on the outside, whether it was put on too thick that is the first time that has ever done it. And it did it on the other bowl as well. So I am going to have to figure that out. This is not what I wanted to see in this kiln today. Definitely got to a cone 6. This is a cone 5, cone 6, and cone 7 is starting to bend. So we're probably at about a 6.5. Again, just a little trinket dish with some leftover patterned clay, and that is just Chun Blue, Clayscapes Chun Blue over top of that. And another leftover one with just bits of different color. Just things a little bit different, a little more patterned. I really like surface design. And a black lily on a background of smaller lilies. Not quite as crisp as I would have liked, but still okay. This is just some black and white, so just black slip with white underglaze transfer over top of a silk screen that I did myself. And I silk screened right onto the clay and then made the little tray afterwards. I have to try and figure out why that engobe flaked like that. It has never done it before. I must have put it on way too thick. Again, another silk screen that I did myself. I've got some slip. This is Pilcher's slip recipe with some mason stain in it. A silk screen that I designed myself, silk screened right onto the clay. Just put some Clayscapes Aqua on the back to kind of match with the front. That turned out really nice. No cracking, no pinholing. We'll need a few good pieces after the disappointing bowls that I was looking forward to. Again, another one where I did the same pattern on the one side, and then on the other side I did some black with an underglaze transfer in white. And again, I got little bits falling off the shelf. Oh, kiln maintenance, and we like to push the envelope. And that's what we get. I may just be able to grind that little spot off, and it should be okay. That one I'm not going to refire. This is just a little trinket dish, and that is Amico Pear Celadon. The clay I'm using here is Plainsman 340. Buff gray color clay. I don't use a really white clay because I transition from buff to brown and sometimes even black, and I mix my own clays in the studio. and it's too hard to go back to a pure white. Well, so far at least we've had no running onto kiln shelves. This was a refire, and again my on-gobe flaked on this one, so I'm going to have to throw some glaze on that and do something different. So that is brown on-gobe with Cenote by Mako. Really nice mug. Feels really good in the hand. Love the brown specks. Oh, so disappointing. Why is it when you really need things to work, they don't? And here is the exact same on-gobe and no issues at all. So obviously it was an application. So this is black on-gobe, and I have poppy fields on there. Now, I think I put something underneath and it ran too much. Okay, so I dipped this first into Clayscape's cream, and these did not get along well, so that is going to have to be refired. Where the cream took the poppy fields right off. It is glazed, but it has crawled, so unfortunately that's a refire. And on this one, it only did it in the one spot. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But on this one, the on-gobe flaked off. And it just flakes sometimes. This looks like amaryllis over black on-gobe. I am absolutely demoralized right now, but what do you do? This was a refire, and I still don't know if I like it. But I don't think I'm going to refire it again. I put some peppered plum on there and a little bit of flux on the rim to carry it down a bit. Some dark flux. Sellable, certainly not my favorite. Price it accordingly, I guess, and then maybe it'll sell. This is leather with Muddy Waters on top, Raven Scrag white liner glaze. Those are nice. This is green tea over iron luster, and it is absolutely crazy that it did not do the same thing as it did in the 818 kiln. So this is the one, this was with the kiln vent on, the exact same firing schedule, and maybe this wasn't green tea. Oh, here it is. This is what I got in the previous firing. What a difference between the two. You just never know, no matter how long you do this, There is an unpredictability that we cannot control when we hit that go button. They're still nice, but not what I expected at all. This is, let's see, I dipped the entire mug in Clayscapes cream, and then I did, I believe it's a Jungle Gems Cloverfield over top, and that worked out really nice. Nice and summery. Could have stayed a little more at the top. Am I going to refire it for that? I don't know. It is glazed. It didn't crawl, but it certainly moved a little more than I would have liked. That one's not going to get refired. I just made that decision. And this is I'm not sure which one that is. Let me see. Okay, this is green tea over iron luster, and it came out much more like the previous cup, beer glass. Those turned out really nice. And last we have, so this is, I have two different things here. Boy, when the glazes are this close, it is really hard to tell what they are. So these two are, I have no clue. This is Bailey's 2, which is an iron red on the bottom, and they behave very differently. And then they were dipped in winter wood that is a mixed, not a brushing, and a little bit of light flux on the rim to make it run a bit more. Those turned out very nice, although they don't match as perfectly as they should have. And then these two are, again, iron luster on the bottom and dipped in alabaster. It is a mixed one, not a brushed one, and then dipped in winter wood with a little bit of light flux on the, pardon my French there, on the rim, just, and the Raven Scrag white on the inside. Super nice. Predictable, stable glaze. And that's it for that kiln opening. Certainly not my favorite. Not at all what I was hoping for. Way too many refires, especially at this point of the game. If I had to pick a kiln favorite out of these, I would think it's possibly these two beer glasses or the butter dish or the tray. So those, super pleased with those, super disappointed with some other pieces. I'm going to take a wire brush to my kiln shelves. I'm going to take a wire brush to the on-gobe and probably just put a matte black glaze over this and refire it. I'm going to grind out the little spots, throw a little bit more glaze on there, and hopefully we will be good to go. And these other ones, I'm going to have to do the same, anything that had the on-gobe, and I'll have to stop using the on-gobe until I figure out what's going on. So thank you very much for joining me for this not as happy as I wanted to be kiln opening. I would love it if you would like the video and subscribe. Really helps with the algorithm and helps me to put out more material. And please, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the description below and I will make sure I answer them. Thank you very much again for joining. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm going to be glazing by the window. You have a spectacular day as well. Thank you again.